We've got Jason in Tel Aviv. You there?
Hi.
Hey,
Good.
thanks for waiting.
Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Very nice.
Kind of.
I had a question. This is my first time calling into the show, first of all. Recently I get a lot of junk from my family on Facebook. Some of them have become fundamentalist Christians. And so I just basically, I read the Manual for Creating Atheists by Boghossian, and he suggested like asking questions and trying to be really kind of disconnected from it. You know what I mean? Trying to get them to think and to process and just answer basic questions. So whenever I try to do that, it tends to turn really defensive really quickly. So they'll post a question, post a picture of the 10 Commandments or something like that, and then I'll just ask a question like, is this something that you would like to be like the law of the land in the States? You know, these types of questions, and immediately they start saying, don't try to take away my faith. Why you was attacking and these types of things. Is there a way that you know of that I could approach these types of questions or these types of situations and not get a defensive response, a way that I could actually open up conversation and get them to challenge the basis of the way that they think without causing offense?
I know something about having a really religious family. So you said that they recently became more fundamentalist Christians? How recently was that?
I guess in the last year and a half. I haven't been home. I haven't been to the States really for about 8 years. Mm-hmm. And it's really strange to see it pop up on Facebook suddenly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's tough when someone, part of it probably has to do with the fact that they're so, if it's only been in the past year, they're probably feeling a little bit defensive because they just recently got into it. And so they're mm-hmm. probably interpreting any sort of questions as you challenging them or trying to, take something away from them that they just recently got into. So I think some of the defensiveness will probably fade with time. But yeah, I know how frustrating it is when you're just trying to have a conversation with them and they turn it into this whole defensive thing. Definitely the more question-based approach is good, but questions can come off as challenging sometimes, depending on tone or the wording or things like that. So could you maybe give me an example of a situation?
Oh heck. Let's see. It's my aunt especially. She's posting stuff like, if I didn't have Jesus, I couldn't survive, or something like this. And so I would just ask her, I'm like, well, before you became a Christian, how did you handle these types of situations, or how did you feel about your life at that time? Mm-hmm. And it just immediately, like, her first response in every situation, no matter what the topic is, her first response is, stop trying to take away my faith. She doesn't give a chance for a conversation to develop in any way.
Okay, then stop pushing.
Yeah, I was about to say, right now you're kind of, she's new to it. When someone posts something like, without Jesus I wouldn't survive, they're affirming something about themselves, and when you question it, they're taking it to be like, you're saying, oh, well, you survived before, clearly you don't need this. Yeah, mm-hmm. So I would say that if you don't want to start fights, probably pushing against that sort of thing is not the best option, I guess. And
you lose a lot online as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially Facebook, where you don't have voice. Mm-hmm. They can't hear the tone of voice or whatever. All they see is your words. They
can't see the sincerity. Like, you can't look at them sincerely and say, I'm legitimately curious. All they're saying is sort of the text on the screen.
Yeah. Well, sometimes my questions have been of that sort. That it's like, I want to find out, how did she come to this? Where did this come from suddenly?
That would probably be best handled in a conversation with her that's not comments on her Facebook wall. Probably a phone call or even an email thread, and say, hey, I'm actually legitimately, sincerely interested in your conversion story. And if you frame it as, I want to know how you converted, mm-hmm. people love talking about their conversion or deconversion stories. Like, that's especially people who have strong beliefs one way or the other. So I would say if you framed it more as, I'm interested in your life, please tell me about your life and your experiences, then you might get a more positive response.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. Well, maybe I'll take that type of a track with it. So. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Heina, it's the first time I listened to you. You look beautiful and wonderful. Matt, I've heard a lot of what you've had to say in debates and everything online, and I just want to say that I'm very happy to be able to talk to you for the first time. I'm going to enjoy the show, I know, and thank you so much for listening.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm just sad I don't look beautiful and wonderful.
Well, I could have done your makeup before we got here.
I don't know if it would have helped at all. Let's go ahead and queue up Hugo in Brazil while we get some other callers on the line. One of the things is, in the same way that you don't owe anybody an explanation, you don't have to have a conversation with anybody. Just because a relative of yours is posting something on Facebook or they're a new believer of whatever religion doesn't mean that they're actually interested in having the conversation.
Exactly.
And if you try to have conversations with people who aren't ready to have them, who don't want to have them, you're going to come off incredibly negative, no matter how honest or sincere you are about trying to actually, have a conversation, and especially for new believers.
Oh, yeah.
Because you think about people who've been, a Baptist, a Catholic for 25, 35 years, and how little they actually know about the religion that they are involved with. New believers are sometimes on fire and ready to talk at the drop of a hat, and others, they probably don't have a particularly good understanding. They haven't been in it long enough to be equipped to defend why they believe, and it may be the right time in some cases to talk, and it may be the wrong time. But as soon as you start getting the pushback, you've got to try a different tactic. I mean, I know that Anthony's had a lot of luck with Peter Boghossian's technique. I think there's a variety of techniques that where we need to use, because not everybody believes for the same reasons. Not everybody's going to be giving it up for the same reasons. Not everybody's in it as deep.
It's true. I mean, I've had the least luck in having conversations about religion with the potential of getting people to question with moderate believers, because, they're not as angry or fired up or as involved.
So did we get another caller queued up? I see 3 on the list, but we'll keep going. So I don't know if you actually want to get into this, but I mean, you come from a Muslim background. Yep. You've had conversations with family and friends.
Oh, yes.
How productive have they been, kind of on average? I mean, it's like, have you changed people's minds? Have you come up against just brick walls?
Mostly, honestly, with the more explicit conversations about religion, where we're sitting and talking about religion, the results are not immediate, and if there are any at all. But just being around them has actually had a good effect. A lot of people have started moderating their behavior and their words, at least around me, and sometimes even with their own children and things like that, in a much more positive way. So I think just sometimes leading by example is a good way to be, too. It can be helpful.